Hello and welcome to this quick tutorial on conditional statements. So what is a conditional statement? It's essentially a point in your game logic where the game logic could diverge into one of two different directions. So for example, if the player comes to a door and the door needs to have a key to open it, then a conditional would be used to check whether the player has the key. It would say, if player has a key, then open the door. Otherwise, if the player doesn't have a key, keep the door closed. And you could, write logic, game logic, which occurs in both the true side of that, so if the player has the key, and in the false side of that, so if the player doesn't have the key. So you could write, display, if the player has a key, you could open the door, and if the player doesn't have a key, you could display a prompt or make a sound that says to the player, oh, you need to go and get a key. I'm going to look at conditional statements in this game world here, where I've got a portcullis and drawbridge here, and at the moment I've got this lever, and the lever runs a toggle function on this door, which currently does nothing. So if I wanted to open the door, I could do this, where I just run this open function here when the lever is pushed. But then it would always open. So this is a good opportunity to use an if statement to see whether it is open or not. So here we could say, if the door is open, then we need to close it rather than opening it. And we can actually capture what if this was false by using an else and then an end, which closes the if statement. So here we're saying, if the value within the variable self.open, so this variable here, if that is true, then do the code that continues from line 28. And there might be more code here. You could have lots of additional code along here. So if this is true, do this bit of code. But if this was false, else, so if this was false, then do something else. Do this self-open bit here. So if open was false here, run the open function. And that way we've actually now created a toggle rather than only having it one directional where you can only open. We can close if it's open and open if it's closed. That's a really simple way we can use conditional statements. You could also combine them. So here I'm setting whether a lever, whether the levers are active or not. So you can even do self.leave, there's two values here. So I could check whether that and whether that were true. So I can combine them using an and it will check one after the other, and it will then only run this self-close section if both of these are true. And I could also use or. So or will see whether this one or this one are true. And if you read it, it does make sense. That's one of the things I really like about conditional statements or if statements is most of the time, if you're writing a conditional statement, you can read it and logically it will make sense. If self.open, then, if it's open, then do this. If self.lever1 or self.lever2, then, okay, so we're checking whether lever1 or lever2 are active, self-close. And so logically, it does seem to read and make a lot more sense than some code that is out there. We've talked about combining these if statements. We've also talked about what they are and how they work. And hopefully this has given you a little bit of an idea of how to play with some of these conditional statements and make some cool stuff using some of the scripting in Crayta. And I really look forward to seeing what you make and seeing you in the game.